I call Ron Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll rise on behalf of New Zealand First to make a very brief call in support of the Arts Centre Christchurch Trust Bill. I want to start, actually, Mr. Chairman, by paying tribute to the members of the committee. I've got to say, when I first came back into Parliament and witnessed the swallowing up of all the chairman's roles and deputy chairman's roles of all the select committees, it sort of made my heart sink a little bit. And I thought, well, here we have a government that's decided that it's going to control everything in Parliament and is not going to share any responsibilities with other parties at select committee level, and I felt that quite disappointing. So I went into the select committee with a bit of a heavy heart. Got to say, Scott Simpson and the other members of the government side of the local government select committee are proving to be very collegial and very easy and good to work with. And I really want to take my hat off to Scott Simpson, so that in the next reshuffle, mate, I hope you actually land one of those portfolios in Cabinet or even outside of it, doing a good job. And I know full well this is going to be used later on. I'm just saying it. I'm appreciative of that. I particularly say that because as a mayor, I came to this House when the local government amendment bill was going through, and I unfortunately had to sit as a witness to those submissions put by other people who were interested in the Local Government Act, and was thoroughly disappointed with the way in which that committee attacked members of the local government, New Zealand and other submitters, about who dared to criticise the legislation went through. And I'm sorry, Nikki, the behaviour of that committee and the reports that continue to be discussed around local government New Zealand speak very ill of that committee and the way it behaved. This committee is nothing like it. It's a very good committee to work in, and the work coming out of there reflects that. Interesting also to look at the names of the people who've been involved in the Christchurch Arts Centre over the years, and as someone who lived on and off in Canterbury for 30 years, seeing those people's names here in the legislation going back in time to 1978, Albert Brownlee, Malcolm Douglas, Peter Dunbar, Richard Harrington, Graham Miller, Noel Searle and Thomas Taylor. Those people have done sterling work in Canterbury for the Arts Centre over the years, and that work is carried on very ably by Margaret Austin, a person who I have great affection for, she being one of those people who talked me into standing for Parliament right at the outset and supported me in my campaign against the mother of all budgets, Ruth Richardson. A scalp we very, very nearly got, and we did get in directly when she got fired by Jim Bolger as a result of that election. This bill is an easy one to support. It's eminently sensible. The purpose and the objectives of the bill is clearly to set up a better structure, governance structure, that makes it possible for what is going to be a $270 million project to be a $290 million project involving 23 Category 1 heritage buildings to be completed on time and with fiscal prudence to ensure that the Arts Centre is managed sustainably going into the future. We can only support that. I am one of those people who spent a few nights in the Ducks Deluxe having a quiet ale here and there, and no doubt if I'd known him then I probably would have had a beer with Matt Juicy as well as we discussed the ills and the woes of the world amongst many students from Canterbury who likewise abided by a few in those surrounds. The opportunity to take my children and now my grandchildren into the Arts Centre to enjoy the entertainment, to enjoy the arts, the culture, the vibrancy, the atmosphere, that was something we enjoyed as a young family, and I am very confident this legislation will make it possible for that to continue for generations to come. There were some issues around, and I'm just looking back through my notes here. Yeah, the powers of the Trust Board and the appointments, the mechanism by which people are appointed, eminently sensible decisions making there, removing the Minister from any perceived control over who gets appointed. I think that was a very sensible move, and New Zealand First supports that. Having said that, I know from personal experience there have been some very sensible decisions made by some of this government's ministers in the past and people they've appointed to places. Sure. And I thank them very much for those appointments in the past. Just want to close by saying, Mr. Chairman, good bill, good work. Thank you very much. Pleasure working with the team on that. New Zealand First will be supporting.